My name is Sophia Wren, and I'm here today to have a free class on finding emotional balance. My name is Sophia Wren, and I've been working a number of different ways to help sensitive women, caring women who are having a lot of struggles with uncertainty and fear, drain, those ups and downs of emotions that happen that really hold us back in our career, in our relationships, and in our ability to be happy and to really enjoy life fully, just being rather than constantly doing. And we tend to put a lot on our plates and juggle a lot of things to be really trying to work with a lot of people that we love, that we respect, that we enjoy. And today I'm talking about a topic that, if you're taking the time to check this out, is really going to be rewarding to you in the long term. And it's something that a lot of us forget about, but that is so important to everything that we're doing. And I just want to honor you right now for being here, for taking this time, whether you're live, welcome, or you're on the replay. If you want to say hi and just let me know that you can hear me, that would be awesome. And we're just getting started. So I was explaining that there are a lot of people out there that this class is really, really perfect for. And it's perfect if you tend to be on the sensitive side. So the way it works is that there's actually a spectrum of sensitivity. There is a lower end, which people are like, you can beat them off of the head, and they just can't get it. And then there's people who are very highly sensitive on the other side. And it took me until about 22 to realize what that really meant. It meant that I was not only sensitive to malls and groups and things like that, but I also was really sensitive to other people's moods and feelings and thoughts. And it actually gave me a lot of insight into other people. Over time, I was able to switch this from being a curse to being a gift. And it's pretty cool. So I want you to know that if you feel like your sensitivity is a curse, then there is hope for you. And I'll be talking about some ways that you can do get out of those overwhelming moments from, whether you want to just snap out of it right away, or you're working on something deeper, something that's a persistent pattern in your life that's holding you back, that you're very sensitive to its influence in your life. We're going to be talking about those deeper things as well. And I want to talk about what the purpose of finding emotional balance is, why sensitive people tend to get out of balance, and why it's not your fault, and also to understand the process I'm going to take you through, because there you might find you have some resistance to it. Sometimes we don't actually want to be in balance. There's a part of us that actually finds it more fun to be having this adventure, this wild roller coaster ride. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But we're also going to be really focusing on experiential learning today. So we'll be going through some different processes, and I have a little meditation for you. And I think it'll be fun. So I always try to make everything entertaining. There's something about talking about emotional balance that can be just sort of not fun for some reason. Why is that? It's because it seems a little bit exacting, the word balance. And so lately I've actually been playing around with the word harmony. And in the future I might actually change as a title of this hangout, of this event. Because harmony is so much prettier, it's beautiful, it's feminine. Whereas balance, I think of justice, the tarot card, and very precise, very like it has to be just right. And anytime you just shift in a little direction, it kind of goes all like, ooh, and then the balance is not there. But with harmony, there's about a zillion different ways we can have harmony. We can have all different sorts of combinations, and it's just ends up partly about the timing and partly about, the quality of the notes, not just what notes you hit, that makes things sound beautiful in music. So I think that is a little bit a better description of what I'm going for with this class, because we have so much going on in our life. We have so many different relationships, and we have so many, just different threads. I really like that analogy of threads of emotion going through us at one time. And that's the thing about being sensitive, is that some people can really not understand the full depth of what we can feel, the full range of, like, how can you be angry and sad and happy a little bit all at the same time that you're crying? Like, how can you be feeling so many things at once? And you can. That's a kind of a gift. Like, we're able to really experience the full range of what it means to be a human being in this world when we're a sensitive person. We're like the complete opposite of a robot. Complete opposite. So it kind of creates a little bit of a jingly jangliness for us as far as like being as in alignment with the world when it's coming into being very technological, when we're seeing a lot of like machinery that's like starting to like not look so nice and new and plasticky anymore. It's starting to get run down and those kind of things. I don't know about you, but when I see them, they really hit me a different way than a lot of other people do. And I think it's because it kind of symbolizes the opposite of everything that I think I am. Like, I'm the feel good, like, I love people, I love nature, I love, my stuff. And then when I go see all these things crumbling that aren't lasting, they're not built to last, and they don't have beauty, and they don't have a real enduring value. And what are they giving to us now that we've used these natural resources? What are they giving us? That to me is like the opposite of what I'm all about, what my clients are all about. I tend to attract people who are really, really caring and want to be of service. And I know it brings a lot of joy to my heart. And I think that the inner work that we can do can really help us to be of greater service, and it's really our responsibility. So yes, you can have more success in your career. Yes, you can have more success in your personal relationships. And yeah, you can have a lot more fun when you can really be able to turn this balance and harmony on and off. But, because we're so of service, for some reason, me and my clientele, it's really that desire to reach more people and to do something different. That's a change, because we're seeing that we just feel like we're meant for something bigger. We're meant for something that is wider in breadth of the service that it can do to other people. That's our life purpose. And finding that is really what makes us feel alive and like we're important and like we matter and have a place here in the world. Being sensitive, a lot of things just aren't really made with our perspective in mind, and when we react to it, it can be really sad when people don't understand that, and they might say like, what's wrong with you, or why is this such a big deal? And that's really hard to communicate, because that can make us doubt our own perspective. And I think that we sensitive people, the more that we can be comfortable with ourselves and find that internal balance without external validation, then the more we're going to be able to speak up for ourselves, communicate what's bothering us, our perspective, and then we will see the world change. But and that brings me into why it's harder for us to deal with emotional imbalance than other people, and we're more sensitive. Because obviously, we're affected by things more. We have a lower threshold, and when things go over that threshold of what we can handle, that's when the crap hits the fan. We're like, oh my God, we have an emotional reaction, our energy shoots down, we might feel triggered into anger or some other kind of response, just to like defense, like push it out. And sometimes, even though we're so giving, and in other ways we can almost be like overgivers or pushover, when we get over our limit, sometimes we're just like, I'm fed up. I don't even want to deal. Don't even talk to me. No. I don't know if you guys do that, but I know I do, and people I've talked to and worked with have that too. This opposite, like it's either like I'm totally bowled over and attacked by the world, or I have a huge wall up, and then that wall kind of protects me, but it also doesn't let good stuff in. It's like a numbing wall, and a lot of us have this numbing wall on some level. And you may or may not be conscious of it, but it is something to keep an eye out for, and to just sort of be curious about where you might have your guard up too high in your life that is not going to allow you to receive help, to receive the harmony and beauty and the value and the love from yourself and from the world around you. And that is really limiting, because there's only so much we can do by ourselves if we're really going to help as many people as possible. then we're going to need to let that help in. So this is sort of an interesting conundrum for us sensitive people because we love to give, we love to be helpers, but a lot of us have a really hard time accepting help and receiving. So that's something that we're going to work on today. Cool. So we've covered a lot in the first 10 minutes. If you have any insight whatsoever or you want to share, for those of you who are live or replay, then go ahead and you can contact me. There's a chat box on the live show. Or you can email me at Sophia@SophiaWren if you have any questions that I don't cover today. Cool. So, all right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to kind of jump in to kind of an experience now because we've been talking. And so what I'd like you to think about is a time when you were the opposite of balanced and the opposite of harmony, when you were really in an anxious place. And I'm asking you to think about this just as an experiment so that we can work on bringing you back into balance. Something that us sensitive people have is we tend to keep our feelings around longer. So if you think into something that's kind of upsetting, sometimes it's hard to shake that. Our nervous system is very sensitive. So if it's, you can go for something sort of medium upset, like, go for something like the dishes were all crazy, or you got home and like there was just so much to do you didn't know where to start, or you were pulled into a couple different directions by different people. You went into a mall or a big crowd that was kind of riled up and you didn't really feel like you fit into that crowd. These are just some examples that I know will get my heart kind of pumping and I sort of feel it in my arms. And I want you to just really feel present and really feel into your body. So like, think about your feet and your legs and just sort of do a body scan from feet up. Just sort of a body scan and see what's happening. Just be curious. Because one of the things that we do as sensitive people is we disconnect from our body when we get scared. And that prevents us from feeling those good things, like I was saying. So I'm kind of feeling into my hips now, feeling the chair and my lower back. I realize I need to kind of sit up. So if you notice any of these things you want to shift, go ahead. Get comfy. And I'm feeling into my back and my arms and my wrists and my hands. Okay, good. Now my head. So a lot going on there. We're going to try to really pay more attention to the body than the head today. Okay, so feel into any points of tension. Like, where do you hold that? Where is it tighter? Where is it heavier? I'm kind of feeling in my belly and in my neck. What kind of places in my neck? That's my spot. Okay, cool. So I want you to also just sort of be curious. Like, pick one of the spots, like maybe one of the more tense spots. Okay. If this spot could talk and it had a message for you, what would it say? What would it say it's afraid of? Okay. And I just want you to just sort of be curious, and if you're really not getting anything, just ask yourself, I have no idea what this is about, but if I knew, the answer would be this. Okay. So a lot of times when we have something in our body, it's like we don't want to trust or we don't want to let go. We don't want to give in because there might be a danger. And I want to also think about, okay, well, what would the worst possible case be? What would be the worst possible case? So saying that like it was a to-do list that you just couldn't manage and you have a limited amount of time before you go out of town. That's me. I'm being honest. Okay, so what's the worst possible thing? Well, you could have an oversight, forget something very important that would be inconvenient to someone else, that could cost you money, that could delay a project, that could harm your reputation, that could disappoint other people, and then they're not going to think that I'm good enough. They're not going to think that I am successful. So just sort of go through that thought process really quick on your own. Just give you a second. What would the worst case be? What would it say about you? I'm just curious because we do a lot of things in that worst case scenario, but we don't always actually follow that logical conclusion out. So it's good to put our cards on the table. So I worry a lot about how people see me. You know, I want to be a good example, and I'm human, so I can admit that. And it's not easy. That's what we call our darkness. Our darkness covers all the things that are not what we want to bring into light when someone comes and meets us or what we're known for. It's things that we just don't want to be. We don't want to be them. We try hard not to. And when we see those things in other people, they really annoy us or make us sad or hurt us, or, and we just don't want to be like that. And Debbie Ford is an amazing author of a book that is on my shelf, and I don't see it right now, but oh, I have. Got it. So this book is called Dark Side of the Light Chasers. It's amazing. It's a really good book. And she has this really fantastic imagery in it. Okay. It's really, she's just amazing. So she's actually quoting this other guy. His name is John Welwood. And I want to use this analogy as it's something I just absolutely, when I heard this, I was like, everything made sense. And this is explaining why this compartmentalized way that we live our life, where we say, like, I'm going to be this, I'm not going to be that, actually causes us a lot of problems. And it's not as black and white as we think it is. So being willing to just sort of think of it in a new, playful way, just for this 1 hour, just give me a chance to explain this. Okay. So she says on page 26, in Love and Awakening, John Welwood uses the analogy of a castle to illustrate the world within us. Imagine being a magnificent castle with long hallways and thousands of rooms. Yes, you are the castle. And every room in the castle is perfect and possesses a special gift, magical gift. Each room represents a different aspect of yourself and is an integral part of the entire perfect castle. As a child, you explored every inch of your castle without shame or judgment. Fearlessly, you searched every room for its jewels and its mystery. Lovingly, you embraced every room, whether it was a closet, a bedroom, a bathroom, or a cellar. Each and every room was unique. Your castle was full of light, love, and wonder. Then one day, someone came to your castle and told you that one of your rooms was imperfect, that surely it didn't belong into your castle. They suggested that if you wanted to have a perfect castle, you should close and lock the door to this room. Since you wanted love and acceptance, you quickly closed off that room. As time went by, more and more people came to your castle. They all gave you their opinions of the rooms, which ones they liked and which ones they didn't. And slowly you shut one door after another. Your marvelous rooms were being closed off, taken out of the light, and put into the dark. A cycle had begun. From that time on, you closed more and more doors for all kinds of reasons. And the days were gone when your castle seemed endless and your future seemed exciting and bright. You no longer cared for every room with the same love and admiration. Rooms you were once proud of, you now willed to disappear. You tried to figure out ways to rid of these rooms, but they were part of the structure of your castle. Now that you had shut the door to whatever room you didn't like, time went by until one day you just forgot that room altogether. At first you didn't realize what you were doing. It just became a habit, with everyone giving you different messages about what a magnificent castle should look like. It became much easier to listen to them than to trust your inner voice, the one that loved your entire castle. Shutting off these rooms actually started to make you feel safe. Soon you found yourself living in just a few small rooms. You had learned how to shut off life and became comfortable doing it. So this is pretty interesting because it kind of makes us have to let go of judgment about ourselves and about other people. And this is different from doing bad things. I'm going to be explaining this. But it's just about when you make a generalization, when you're like, I don't get angry. Angry is not a thing smart people do. It's not rational. Or you know what I mean? Like when you create that kind of system in your head, that's like a vow saying, I'm never going to go in that room ever because that room annoys me that it is there and I'm not going to be a part of that. But the thing is that if you actually had a room in your house and you shut it off, and like let's say that you had to redo all the plumbing in the whole house, and that one, you know, you're gonna mess up the structure of the building. It messes up your structure when you just say like no, no. And the thing is that it's really true that a lot of us have potentialities and opportunities and options that we really don't consider them at all. And that's when we get overwhelmed. There are options to solve this situation every single time. It's like, well, there are a lot of options here. We can just not do the whole list. Could ask someone for help. I could maybe do this one never. You know, like there are always options, but it's when we're like doggedly saying, no, it has to be done this way, and that's impossible. So I'm going to break down because I feel completely inadequate. I think that this is possible to do. Someone could do this. Someone expects me to do this, and I can't. I'm getting freaked out. And then that starts that whole cycle of like us being really afraid of that end situation and being so afraid we can't even articulate what that could be or really put it into words so that our logical mind can say like, oh, well, I guess that's not that big a deal. We just react. We're just emotionally reacting because we don't want to go down that road. We don't want to go into that room. You know, whatever you label it, whatever you don't want to be, irresponsible, a bad parent, stupid, lazy, you know, just incompetent. Like there's a lot of words that can be in that room. Also, there's a whole lot of light rooms that a lot of us switch off too, especially us sensitive, smart, caring ladies. We have been brainwashed that you have to either be smart or you get to be pretty, or you get to be a good hard worker, or you get to be the center of attention. And we miss out on things, and it's not because of everybody else. It's really not. We have to take responsibility that we create a lot of our own stuff. You know, the things that we don't like about our life, I really feel like we need to be curious about where am I creating that? Where have I shut off some ability of mine out of like a moral judgment that I could use to get what I need in the situation? Okay, so what does this have to do with balance? How did I get away from balance? Well, again, this is sort of like the harmony. Like when all of these rooms of ours, when all of us is singing in harmony, that is a different kind of balance. That's like better than balance. You know, that's like our whole body is singing, we feel alive, we know who we are. And when we have a choice, we can just say like, I know this is kind of a difficult choice. I might need to make some sacrifices here or spend some energy there, or spend some money or some time, but I feel this in every cell of my body. When we feel connected like that, it's a lot easier, right? Like we can make those tough choices, but we don't regret it. But when we get out of that space, when we start saying, but like, no, I can't, but I can't, no, I can't do that, that messes our whole brain up. And we start to get in our head and we start thinking, and the doomsday thoughts start coming in, and our body gets really, really upset. It gets into flight or fight. Our nervous system is up, and that might get so intense. That's when we go up and then down, like overwhelm, and then boom, our energy is gone. And then we can't get forward that way. I mean, usually that happens, especially because again, sensitive, caring ladies, we don't take the time we need to refill, to, you know, rest, rejuvenate, and have a lot of space in our life. And that way, you know, when times get tough, we kind of have a little reservoir to pull from. A lot of us are really running on like almost empty. We're like on that last $2 of gas. And there just takes one little push to put us on empty and have us chug, chug, chug to a stop and a standstill. And then it takes a lot more time for us to refill. So that's another thing you can incorporate into your life is self-care. And if you've experienced my free course on my site, sophiawren.com, that is one of my main points, is that we need to have fun, we need to have self-care, and that is a really important thing for us to balance, so that we can use all of our potential in our life. And Yes, I have an aunt. I'm not sure what it is right now. Cool. So I wanted to talk about that because one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be stretching our ability to love that dark side, that part of us that we've put into the shadows because it's not acceptable to us or to people that we loved as a kid, growing up, any of those things. And what's the value of that? I'm speaking about this at length because a lot of times we have a lot of resistance around this idea. We're like, but I don't want to be a bad person. Like, you don't reward bad behavior. You know, like a little kid does something, like you don't just pretend like it's all right. I mean, yes, you love them unconditionally, but like you need to set them straight. Like they can't keep doing that. And this is important to say that there is a difference between love and attachment. And I think that's what this is really about, because love can have many shapes or forms. Like, you know, you showing a kid the right way to do something, the right way to react in a certain situation, correcting their course is love. Because if they didn't have that lesson, then who's going to teach it to them down the road? It can cause all kinds of problems. You know what I mean? And the difference between love and attachment is that attachment is attached to a certain outcome, attached to a certain way, and it's very fixed. It's very decided, and it has a certain expectation that can be dashed. And love, unconditional love, can't be dashed. It really can't. I mean, we talk about having a broken heart, but we can look back at those people that broke our heart now, healed, and we can see that, yes, they might have done some things. Yes, there was a lot of things messed up in that situation, and we can be happy we're not there now. But we can also appreciate that maybe there was something that we learned. Maybe there was something that they said that was insightful and that we took responsibility for later or changed later in our life. And they don't need to be around to like say good job for us to appreciate that helped us. You know, that is love. You know what I mean? Sometimes we have an argument and we say something that's the truth, and it's not, we don't necessarily like think that they're going to change, but sometimes they do anyway. It's a funny thing that when we become like detached from a situation, again, this is really good to know with the overwhelm thing. When we become detached from the situation, we actually gain a whole lot of power to change it. It's sort of like Einstein says. He says that you can't solve a problem from inside the problem. So if you're inside of the problem, if you're getting into the details, although you might think I'm limited in resources, I need to be using everything I have to solve this problem right now. No, I don't have time to take a break. Like, you might get annoyed if someone's like, hey, you take coffee break? And you're like, no. I can't. I'm working. You know, a lot of times we do actually need to take a break, take some time away, and it can help us to utilize the time we have even more efficiently than we would have. And we all know this, but a lot of times we need to be reminded. Even I need to be reminded because it's a day-by-day thing. It's a minute-by-minute experience of life. So detaching from the situation helps us to have creative solutions and helps us to think holistically. And I'm going to invite you to think holistically right now. So I would like you to think about the last 5, like, where were you 5 years ago, or where were you 10 years ago, if the 5 point just happened to be kind of rocky. So think about like 5 or 10 years, like a while ago, and think about who you were then and how it felt to be you. And what did your career look like, you know, your career opportunities? What did your like home life look like? And be real, like, even if it looked good on paper, like, what was it really like to be you? And what was your perspective on the world like? And how did you feel about yourself and your, you know, what you were capable of? Has anything changed in that time that's been for the better? You know, even if all you have is knowledge and experience under your belt, is that valuable to you? And we can look on, we can, with that space and time, those challenges, we can see the value in them now. Even if it was really messed up, we can see that, like, that was really messed up. I'm not giving credit to anyone who did something wrong to me, but I did make the best of it. We're all doing the best we can in any situation. We might have made some mistakes. Hindsight, we can look back and say, I could have done that differently. But if you had, you wouldn't have learned a certain lesson in life. So, you kind of can't, our whole life is like a string of beads. And you can't just like grasp one and pluck it out. And all the beads would fall away if we did that. So, I think most of us kind of accept that. We accept the way our life went, and we don't even think about it. It's really just where we put our focus is, and so we have to watch our focus. We have to question, do I need to be seeing this way? Am I making an assumption? Am I saying, no, I'm right about this? If you're saying that to yourself, then you probably need to step back and try to say, like, okay, where could I be wrong? Just to get some perspective, just to get some different things going on in your head. Define focus on one outcome is attachment, and it is setting us up to be disappointed. And I don't like being disappointed. Do you like being disappointed? We can have goals, we can have aspirations, but have you ever had a job where you wanted it so bad that you get into like the interview and you just like choke and you're just not what they're looking for? But you know that you are, but they don't know that you are. Or you have a guy that you really, really like, and man, that just did not work out because I like called them on the phone too much, or like someone said like, oh my God, she really likes you, and kind of messed it up a little bit for you because you were just so attached to that outcome. Someone was really cool and you were just like, oh my God, you're amazing, I really want to be your friend, and then they just got a weird vibe, because they could tell you were like really attached and really expectant, and people can't really relax like that, just the same way that us sensitive folk, like we really don't like to disappoint people with expectations. A lot of people will just be like, going to pass on it all together. And we have that option. If we can get the perspective in this space to really decide, like, is this what I want to do? Oh, let me check on that. I'll get back to you. If we can do that, we can be like all the non-sensitive people and like make decisions and choices based on what we want. It's pretty cool. So that was a little thought experiment. We're just getting some long-term perspective. It's another really handy tool technique to do. It's like the last thing our brain wants to do. So you could ask a friend, like, when I call you upset, can you remind me of how far I've come? And then I'm going to get through this. Because we don't like, we know that everything has gone fine so far because we're here, you're on the call, you're hanging out with me, we know it, but we don't think about it as far as the future goes. So it's assured. You're going to be fine. Seriously, what's the worst that can happen? If you died, you wouldn't have to deal with any of these problems. So who cares? Sorry, I have a different perspective on death than most people do. But anyway, I wanted to go into the shadow work because I work with a lot of ladies who are givers, and they have a really hard time receiving. And I've been the same way. Really hard time receiving. And a lot of people want to be in business. They want to be healers, they want to be teachers, they want to be coaches, they want to be doing work that is going to help a lot of people. And to sustain that, they're going to need to accept money. And that can be really, really freaky because you're thinking, I'm taking from them, like they need that to pay their bills. Well, you don't know. They could be getting a manicure. But it just is so hard. It's like in the body hard. Like you go to say what your price is and you like take it back. Oh, you say like, I'm going to spend this amount of time, and you go way over. Like, we just find a billion ways to not receive. And same thing goes with like people. People tell you, you look beautiful. And you're saying like, oh no, you look nice. Not me, but you look great today. Yeah. And I think that we're like the kind of people that are like constantly like helping, saying nice things, bringing positivity, and then when someone is like doing that back to us, they're like, "Oh, you don't need to worry about me. No, 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 no. Don't even. No, no. That's what I'm here for too. No, I was here to help you. You don't. No, you don't need to do that." And I'm kind of exaggerating, but it's so true. So we have to look in our darkness because in there, in that room, that magical palace has a room that's all about receiving and not taking, but receiving. Because the thing is like every time you're giving to somebody else and they receive it, how good do you feel? How good do you feel to help someone? You feel so good, right? I know you do because I work with people who are of service, and that's just natural. It's just a natural thing. I'm putting a name to something that doesn't even require a name. It's like in the DNA to like be helpful and nice and create good things out there and make the world a better place and help people change their lives and talk about really deep inspirational stuff. I think we all like to do that. And it's awesome. And every time you do that, you're giving someone else, they're receiving it, and you're taking enjoyment from that. And that's beautiful. It's good. It's good. I'm just messing with you with the taking word, just to move things around a little bit. But you're giving to them, and you're receiving the gift of being able to give. And that's the same thing that they do when they kind of give to you. Like, I want to tell you that you're gorgeous. I want to tell you that you're amazing. I want to tell you that you're brilliant. But it doesn't matter what I say if you don't feel it. It's just like I could have said, like, potatoes. You know, it doesn't matter what I say to you if you won't let me help you feel good, if you won't let me touch your heart. I'm trying to touch your heart, and I need you to receive it if it's going to go through. If it's not, then I probably would go somewhere else. And that's how, like, as givers get by. We find communities that don't have another giver in them, and so we're like the only giver, because otherwise it becomes a little awkward because we're like, oh no, but this message does not go through. I'm going to find somebody who will take this. And so we do this. We create all these different circles where we're like the only person that can help them, and then we like resent it after a while. We start to get really overwhelmed and not be able to put a boundary into place of like where that would make us comfortable again, you know, because it's like they outstay our welcome. And then we feel really guilty and bad about like pushing back, and it becomes like it can get really, really bad before we just are like, oh, forget all this stuff, you know, or just blow up or do something really dramatic versus like having that before it's necessary conversation that's uncomfortable and hard for us. So we need to go into the darkness, ladies. We need to go retrieve some parts of us that have been hidden, and we're just gonna like accept them and love them and just, you know, just be okay with it being there. I'm not saying that you need to like start acting crazy or start acting angry or mean or whatever it is that you don't want to be. You do not need to change yourself as a person. It's not about changing. It's exactly the opposite of changing. Because a lot of us are personal development junkies, and we want to change. We want to get better. We want to be a better person so that other people can benefit from that. We can bring more value and more service to the world. We really want to be of service. And I think that's why we like personal development work. And once you get started, it's like it never stops. We can always find other layers to work on. And it's never ending. Some things we thought we were over, like they come back up again. And that's good, you know, that's healthy, and I'm not saying that you should stop, but I'm just saying like every once in a while you got to take a breather and just let yourself be okay the way you are. And that detachment actually helps you change more. It's really tricky that way. It's weird. It's a weird mind trick. Totally weird. But it works. So this is sort of the crux of my my shortcut to emotional balance. And this is really more of the long-term sustaining emotional balance. I'm going to speak about a little shortcut, like an even shorter shortcut at the end, which leads into my sacred armor class. But we were talking about some inner blocks. That's going to be another part of my class with creating better boundaries. A lot of times we have a block to creating it. I was kind of explaining some of the reasons why. But we're going to just go into this technique. I think it's really, really powerful, and I'm really happy to share it. So if you will accompany me for a short journey, we are going to be stopping promptly at 9 EST. So I like to keep it to exactly an hour and not to go over. So all right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to be thinking about all the different parts of us. So we thought about a few so far. We thought about who we don't want to end up being, worst case scenario, like how we don't want to be seen, worst case scenario. We talked about our inability to receive things or ask for things or put up boundaries that causes long-term problems. And we're going to go through these things. I might bring up some more, but we're going to go through each of these little slices, and we're going to kind of be like, as if it was another part, you know, it's a room, but as if it was like another person. We're going to say the Ho'oponopono mantra. I might have said that wrong, sorry, it's Hawaiian. And it's, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you. That's one way to do it. I really like that way. There's also, if that doesn't work for you, you can also do tapping on the bottom of the hand. It's called a karate chop point. So you can do that also. Sometimes it makes it a little more powerful. So let's say like that worst case scenario that we don't want to be seen. And let me just explain a second how this works. I believe that we are in control of our life. I say that because it feels a whole lot hell better than I'm a victim. The thing is that a lot of people don't want to move from the victimness to being powerful. And that's where their life just gets stuck and they just stay like that forever. And that's fine. That is our choice because we are creating it. And I'm not about putting on judgment right now. We're about accepting. So what we're saying is, I'm sorry it had to be like this. I'm sorry that I created this. And you can use this in a billion different ways. My cat is angry. It's stuck inside, but it can just feel. So what we're saying is, I love you. Like, I love you, imperfect Sophia, that messes up things. I'm sorry that we've had this separation. I'm sorry that I've judged you. Please forgive me. You know, I want to be friends. Thank you. It's received. So when you think about your worst case scenario, to-do list doesn't get done. What happens? How could someone see you, and how could that be negative? I love you. So that reflection of us, how we would be seen, actually exists as a part of us. It's not something that we're stalling. It is a part of us that we've been trying to hide. And it's okay. It's there. It's okay. It will be more peaceful if we can just accept that. I love you, stupid Sophia. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And it's a little teeny tiny shift. And I wonder if you guys felt that. But it's a little teeny tiny shift, and it's just really, really small. But for me, every time I do that, I feel this little bit of calm. Because it's like a battle has just totally ended. It's like when cats, they start fighting for a second, and you're watching because you're really entertained, and then they just walk away. It's just over. And then, so that's great. And now I want to think about what would the best case scenario be? You know, what are we really trying to do? Why are we working so hard? How do we want to be seen? I'm thinking like it's like Glinda the Good Witch. Like, I am magic. I can do everything. Come to me with your problems. Shh. You know, we want to also forgive ourselves for that separation we've created between here and there. You know, we're going to get there a lot faster if we can believe that that's a part of our nature already. It's a part of our DNA. It's a part of our essence. It's a part of who we are. We were born awesome. So let's do that with them. I'm going to demonstrate the tapping if you want to try that. So, I love you. I'm sorry for this separation and for this judgment. Please forgive me. Thank you. Ah, that's nice. It's a nice one. Okay. I want to do beautiful. I want you to think of yourself like when you looked your best. And even better than that, like you're so exuding confidence and you're so gorgeous and people are just reflecting that back to you. They're like, oh wow, let me open this door for you. You know, oh, I'll get a line for you. Go ahead. You are a goddess or a god. Like, you look good. Okay. Now we're going to forgive the separation that we created. And this is actually like bringing up some emotion for me. So just go with, I love you. Please, I'm sorry for this judgment, for this separation. I've created this. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you for that forgiveness. Let's just take a minute and just really imagine that beautiful, beautiful self just enwrapping us with light and loving us back as an equal. And just let them just soak into you. And if you were to pick up a mirror right now, you would see their face shining. And just really allow that and just be playful. It just is. It's just who you are. It just is. Alright, cool. So I want you to think about another part of you that's a little hard to admit that could be you. We're going to look at who was the last person you were mad at and why were you mad at them? What kind of person were they being? I'm going to go with a butthead. Okay, so there's a part of us that's just a total butthead, or whatever you said. There's just a part. It's there. Okay. I love you. I'm sorry for this separation and for this judgment. Please forgive me. Thank you. And same thing, I want you to imagine that part as a reflection. A person could look like you, could look like someone else, and give them a hug, just like they're an equal. You know, we're all equals here. Just give them a hug and just let light envelop you guys. I know you might have some resistance, but just be playful and just try it. It's okay. Do you feel that weight just lifting? Do you feel all that tension going away? You know, there's nothing to hide from anymore. And you guys can just sort of mesh, because you already are together anyway. We have everything inside of us. And now this is the truth. We're just giving into the truth. Take a deep breath. Wow. For me, that was really powerful. Okay. And I always like to also do that judgment part of us. And it's a part of us that says, like, this is good, this is not good. And it even goes, judgment is not good. So today when I was saying, like, I don't want to be in judgment space, I was totally putting judgment in darkness. And that's not what I'm trying to do. Keep doing it. So there's a part of me that is like judging and against judgment, and I'm just going to do them both at one time right now. So I love you. I'm sorry. I'm creating this separation and this battle. Please forgive me so we can all be friends. Thank you. Okay. It's okay to judge. It's fine. We can't survive without it. Also can't survive without not judging. Funnily enough, we need a little bit of a balance. Oh, look at me, I'm so full circle. If you have any insight, please feel free to share. And I am checking out the chat. Looks like you guys are just kind of keeping to yourselves right now. That's okay. I made it so you can't see everyone's names in the forum. So if you think you're all alone, you're not. I'm just going to go over to YouTube just to make sure. Google Plus. All right, cool, cool. All right, this is really fun. All right, cool. So this is a fun process to do. It gets really deep. It's definitely one you want to do when you have a minute alone, and that's why I wanted to do that today, because we had a little time together, and I just think that it's really, really, really powerful. I mean, how do you feel right now? For me, it's sort of like someone just wiped a slate clean, and you know, I might have a little residual emotion because it was actually kind of hard for me to do the beautiful thing, especially because I can kind of see myself on camera. I'll just be honest, it's sort of hard for me to put my full head around and just stay totally emotionally neutral. But I feel good. The only thing is that I feel a little bit too cleaned off. It's like I'm used to having all of this emotion. I'm used to having all of this stimulus and excitement running through my body. So to be totally emotionally balanced isn't really comfortable for me. And that's something that I think we all have to kind of admit to ourselves. Like, if you feel that way, just note it. If you don't, that's cool. It's really nice to be in a neutral space, but sometimes it's too neutral. Like, it's sort of robotic, you know? And we were talking about, oh my gosh, my cat, stop. We were talking about how earlier in the beginning of the show, I was saying how harmony is really a word that I like to use instead. So for the last couple minutes of the show, I wanted to kind of invoke this process that I've used all the time, every day. And to me, it's really, really magical. It's really special. And part of the Sacred Armor course, actually a great deal, is going into certain visualizations and things like that that have a significance, that are connected to the earth, that are connected to the world of beauty and your own your own personality, the images that resonate with you as meaningful and beautiful, because we have different perspectives, and I want to honor that. A lot of people I work with are really creative, and they might not be an artist or a painter or a writer or anything like that, but they just are. They come up with creative stuff to say, and they have that perspective. So it's important that my course respects that. And how I like to do it is I like to incorporate all of the elements. I like to incorporate everything in nature. So the Western elements are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Sometimes people put spirit. But I've actually done a lot of acupuncture, and I love Chinese medicine. It's really interesting to me. And they have 5 elements, but they have a couple different ones. They have wood and they have metal, which is kind of practical, right? Because in the modern world, we do use a lot of wood and we use a lot of metal. So, like paper and my cool necklace, I guess if you wanted to, you could consider like crystal an element, or like glass an element. When you start thinking that way, it's like, oh, there's so many different things. There's so many different building blocks to the universe. So again, this goes into like what's meaningful for you. But this is for me. So I really love cauldrons. So to me, like, vessels are very feminine form, and I've always been drawn to women, to women's studies, to women's empowerment and things like that, because I'm a woman and I didn't grow up with a mother, so it really, really resonates with me. And I want to feel like held and, kind of like I can let go. Masculine is more of the like direct focus thing, and I just want to relax. So I like to sort of imagine that there's a meadow, beautiful meadow, and in that meadow there's a nice little camping area. And someone, you know, in my imagination, there's like an invisible hand sort of dropping all these wood, like perfect wood for a fire, and it makes that wood noise that is like, and it's all knocking against each other. And then it just sort of, a spark catches it. And it just, for me, for some reason, like imagining that spark catching onto all of the wood and just filling it with flames, that feels so like a release to me. And I just sort of imagine that I have like paper that I'm throwing in that's got anything I'm done with, you know, any kind of junk and feelings. I just sort of let that go into the fire and feel the warmth and the joy and passion of fire. And then again, that visible hand sort of sets a cauldron down, and there are 3 little feet, and number 3 is very spiritually significant in a lot of different spiritualities, and has a round hip basin, and that's just for catching. That's for containing water that's falling into there, like with a big sloosh, and that's the mixing pot of my life. Everything in my life needs to have some kind of container to keep it from getting scattered. So this is my life. This is like my energy. This is what I'm feeling right now. I'm just feeling into this image, and then I get kind of excited. It's like starts to bubble, and then again is like another little release. Like this magic happens. This alchemy happens where it like becomes air, and it becomes lighter. And that air is connected to the air in the atmosphere, and it's all around the earth. It connects everybody. And it even goes into outer space. And there's just like so much of this space here and air that just, we all rely on it to breathe. And I just take a deep breath and just let it all out. So I know that's sort of esoteric, but if it interests you, I'll be teaching more about that kind of thing in my class so that you can create your own personal practice. I think that we all need to find something that resonates with us. And I like that one because it kind of covers all the bases. So, you know, I think that some people resonate with certain elements, and some people resonate with certain places in nature. And it sort of reminds me of the Indian dosha system. So I think there's something to it, and it's helped a lot of my clients, because I'm very good at helping people to pick, like, that's an image I bet you would like, and that's an image I bet you would like. So that's a certain talent of mine. And we're rounding it out. So it's 8:58. I'm just going to check to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. And, oh shoot, I guess not. So next week I'll be releasing some more of free resources. So if you haven't gone to sacredarma.com/free, you should be fine. If you've received an email about this webinar, then you'll get the free resources that I have next week and the week after. And then if you don't want to receive any more, it's okay. I'll be kind of completing the cycle by the end of the month. It's just a special thing for the launch of my course. I really like to be generous. And it's got 2 minutes more. And something I also do is I do cold readings. So that means that people don't tell me information, they ask me a question, and I give them my feelings on it. And that's because I'm really sensitive. And I can pretty much tune into someone anywhere, especially if I know that they want my help. So being here, I know that people would like to know my advice. And I'm pulling a card. So I got this card, it's a mountain. And mountains are very stable. And this particular mountain actually has a cave, sort of like the Aladdin cave that like comes up. It's a face, but there's so much more behind it. So there is a moon shining light there. I think this card is really reminding all of us that we all have a lot more to discover about ourselves. So the process that we did today, where we really were trying to accept all of our aspects, trying to accept all of our faces, even the ones that we don't necessarily want to show anyone else. That's okay, but we're okay with it on our own, that it's possible. You know, I don't want to be a bitch, but I could be, and it's in me. I just try not to be, so I'm not. But I accept that I have that potential, and it could be really dangerous if I just said like, oh no, that's not me. That would be really easy to actually be one, right? So we all have a lot of self-discovery to do. We all have a lot of learning to do. And we just need to be open to the fact that we're going to go through that our entire life. So yes, there is a mountain of things for us to do inside of ourselves, but we don't need to see it as a burden, because we can just kind of take things as it go. Again, like giving into the big picture is great, but also being present and taking things a moment at a time and being able to respond a moment at a time, finding that harmony that we need now, asking ourselves, what do I need right now? Do I need to go take a minute? It's really important. But we can give up any worries of guilt and shame and embarrassment. I think those are some of the most really debilitating feelings, and I love this process because it really, really helps us through it. So if you have a situation where you're feeling really embarrassed or ashamed or low about something you've done or some feeling about yourself, really put this one into practice again, because I'm sure it will help you to kind of reconcile with yourself and to see, like, it's okay. You know, I can feel embarrassed about that, but I can also accept that maybe one day I'll see it as a lesson. You know, maybe one day I'll see it differently. It's all going to be okay. Everybody's got a part like that in them, whether they want to admit it or not. And you're going to put more people at ease around you when you have this emotional balance, because you're not going to be afraid that they're going to find some part about you as lacking. You're not going to be afraid that they're going to think you're not good enough or not accept you, because you accept yourself. And it's the first step to being able to receive more from everyone in your life, including people you work for, people you work with, people who you're in a relationship with, your friends, and yourself, so that you can really start to feel like you deserve to be happy and feel like that relaxation time is something that's really going to be, you know, it's going to connect. So I hope that this is a good session for you guys, and thank you so much for coming. I always like to wrap up on time. I know that you're really busy, and I really honor that you took time with me today. I feel really blessed. So blessings to everybody here. You know, you can always contact me at Sophia Wren, sophia@sophiawren.com. I've got more resources on my blog if you feel bored, or if you want to check out my YouTube station, sophiawren.com. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Mwah.